Welcome back, terrestrials. In this episode, we're doing Three from Hell. Now, let's just knock out the video store totals real quick. Robert Cummings, obviously. Uh, the budget was 3 million, which was
Right.
significantly less than the other two.
Wow.
And there was a whopping 41 deaths in this movie.
Right.
That's pretty crazy. And then, yes, of course, nudity. Jerry, what grade would you give this
What
movie?
am I giving this? I'm gonna go C, like a straight C, not a plus or a minus. It's a C.
Okay.
Um, I'm gonna play devil's advocate on this and like give you all the things that I didn't like about this movie, and then you can rebuttal with why you like this movie. I didn't hate this movie, but I did find some flaws. Jacob, what are you grading this movie at?
I think I'm gonna go with a C plus.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit better than run of the mill,
Right.
and I'll get into why. So you tell me what made this movie suck a huge bag of dicks.
uh, it didn't suck, but I think the number one thing when I was watching the movie that I really noticed this time around was it's kind of just the Devil's Rejects again.
Mhm,
Like if you like, okay, Devil's Rejects, they have to escape the house. In Three from Hell, they have to escape prison.
mhm,
The Devil's Rejects, they're stuck in a good like a good bit of time in the hotel room. In Three from Hell, they're stuck in a good bit of time in the that dining room scene. Okay.
mhm,
Then we turn the opposite. Um, you have the Devils in Devil's Rejects going to Charlie's. Then you have them going to Mexico in Three from Hell. They have a good time at Charlie's. They have a good time in Mexico. And then the shit hits the fan at the end where the bad guys show up
mhm.
and violence ensues. In Three from Hell, it's more of like, like a like the superhero, like the devils are the superheroes. They have to fight the bad guys, Rondo's cousins, fucking cartel or whatever they were and shit.
Son,
So
it was his son.
it was a son. I thought it was a cousin. But either way, I mean, it's just kind of like it has those beats from
Mhm.
Devils. So that was my one thing where it's just like this is just Devil's
Okay.
Rejects with different,
So outside of that one thing, you loved this movie.
yeah. Um, did it need to be made? I'm glad it was made. There's nothing wrong like with the visuals are still great in it. I think
Okay.
dialogue and writing, once more, we've always said dialogue and writing are always kind of
It's
just
not
like
Robert's strong suit for
not as
sure.
strong. The but the scenery
Mhm,
is okay. The Wolfman character instead of Spalding, because Spalding passed away. It's okay. He's okay. Like
mhm,
everything about it is just like it's okay. It's okay.
mhm,
I do like the crazy baby like her like hallucinations,
mhm,
like those really weird hallucinations. Those were pretty cool.
mhm.
I like those. But
Oh, you mean the Halloween 2 fucking
yeah, the hollow
hallucination
yeah,
situations? All right, cool.
where it's like, yeah, I remember that stuff I was doing in Halloween too. That was actually meant to go here
Yeah.
in Three from Hell because I've wrote all these before I started
Mhm,
filming.
yeah.
But like, yeah, it's okay. So, what did you do you
All right.
have
Well,
any
now that
gripes?
Jerry's done with his review of the movie,
Yeah, thanks. All right, I'm gonna go sit over here and be quiet.
um, a lot of those points I agree with. Did the movie need to be made? No. Am I glad it did get made? Yes. Um, I really liked Baby's character in this. I think that this is, as Baby, this is Sherry's best performance
Hmm.
because this one, like in house, it was shocking, but it was really relying on slut. Same thing in the beginning of Devil, then he got weird, and that was fun. But in this one, it's a whole different level of
Right.
like insanity. I really like that part. But I mean, as much as I can like Sherry Moon. Um, Wolfman, I don't understand why they did that. It makes no sense. He comes out of nowhere. There's no mention of him. Just all of a sudden, here's a new family member.
because they wrote it Three from Hell,
everything
but Captain Spaulding was dying.
right.
Like,
And
well, Sid Haig
I'm
was really
well,
dying, and he's like, "Mhm."
I'm getting to that.
Okay,
But
okay.
every line between Otis and Wolfman or Night Wolf or fucking Pup uh feels extremely forced, like they do not know each other and they do not, and they are uncomfortable. Like that hotel exchange.
Dog's watching. Whole time, dog's in there, right? No fucking the dog, but we bring the dog in.
Why not?
I'm not in dog fucking.
Maybe in a sequel.
Maybe in the sequel. That's where it's at.
Completely like it feels forced.
Right.
All right. Now I'm going to address the Sid Haig thing, and then I'm going to get to the crazy, ridiculous timeline of this movie.
Okay.
Sid Haig should not have been in this movie. They should have just written him out. He didn't make the firefight with the police. It was disgusting to watch him on screen. They dragged him out and put him on there knowing he was dying. Watching him on screen barely have enough breath and energy to do anything whatsoever was sad, and I didn't like it. And I think that if Robert had any fucking respect for him, he wouldn't have done that. That's
Hmm.
my opinion of that.
Okay.
Not one last little send off. Sid wanted to be in the movie, of course. You know, you should have been like, "You're my friend. Enjoy your last days. Don't sit on a set all fucking day
Right.
and then go home and die." That's despicable to me. I don't like that. There was tons of, you only had him in there for no reason whatsoever. You could have just very easily been like, he didn't make it, but the other two are in jail and derp a derp a derp.
Right.
Now, my biggest gripe with the movie is the timeline. This movie
Okay.
should be taking place in 1995, not 1988. Because in the images, in the prison images, when they're being taken in,
Right.
it says 1985.
Right.
Otis gets out and says, "I've been kicking around for an 8 ball."
I've been stewing about it 24/7 for about an 8 ball.
That's 8 years.
Okay.
But it says that they let's see. The little documentary clip when they shoot Wolfman,
Okay.
they say this was filmed in 1988.
The footage you are about to see was shot on the morning of October 2nd, 1988.
Mm-hmm.
How did he spend 8 years in prison if he went in 85 and escaped in 88, but he did an 8 ball? That's 3 years. He did 3 years in prison. They said that the baby spent 10 years in prison. None of this timeline shit that Rob Zombie does that he blatantly ignores is fucking frustrating. I
Right.
don't like it. It's just like, dude, just take a little bit of care. And like, I understand that this movie was essentially forced on Robert Cummings. He did not
Yeah.
want to make this movie. People like the fan base bugged him for it, and then they turned on him as soon as he made it. I understand that.
Yes.
With that being said, let's get into the positives. Talk about your positives for this movie.
There's a lot of blood, and then okay, yeah.
Mhm.
So the violence is still there. The like he still knows how to shoot violence.
Mhm.
The cinematography in it is just very wonderful. I don't know. There's just a look that he puts on film sometimes that looks really good. There's a look sometimes he puts on film that looks really cheesy
Mhm.
and fucking like, ugh. Um, but like I enjoy his like moments, and I don't know if that's him or the actors letting his actors just kind of like flow with it.
Mhm.
But then when we get to bad, like there's a couple of fire like scenes in there, like where there's fire around.
Mhm.
It does definitely looks like green screen kind of or computer fire, you know.
Again, the budget was $3 million and he had no
Right.
intention of making this movie. So that's why I'm as nice as I am about this movie. Really, my
Right.
biggest complaint for this fucking movie is the timeline. It's like, even if it's brought to his attention, like, hey man, this doesn't make sense. He's like, dude, like, I wrote Hillbilly Deluxe. Okay.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of my face and
Yeah.
go get me some coffee, bro.
Yeah.
Before I sinister urge all over your ass.
And then he goes, yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking
Or wait,
all right,
what were you
give me
saying?
I was gonna say, yeah, give me some positives, give me some light at the end of this tunnel, because we're saying C, but all we've done is just piss on this fucking movie for like, I don't know, 20 minutes. It feels like. Give me some positives. Where, baby, we know.
Right,
What did you
baby
think
is
of
a good
Mexico?
one. The violence is good. I don't know if that's a real town in Mexico or not, or if
No.
that's a backlot on Universal, but goddamn, they did a great job with that set. Well, so that's one of the big thing. That was another thing that I was going to talk about next, but you said positives. Is in the hotel room when Wolfman's like, "Hey, motherfucker, I'm standing right here," and he's like, "Do you ever think it's worth it, Otis?" No, no, that's not the Driftwood family.
Hmm.
That's not how the Firefly family works.
Right.
Like, they are not remorseful. And then they shoved that little memorial to Sid because he had died at that point into there. And he's like, oh, he had a good run. The old bastard had a good run. Like, that was so that was more inappropriate than showing that. Like, that was so unnecessary in this movie because it does not fit the characters.
Right.
They would not mourn one of their lost because they did not mourn their mother, Tiny, Rufus, none of them. They didn't mourn none of these fucking people.
Right.
And all of a sudden they're mourning Sid. No, that was Rob Zombie putting that in there because of Sid the person,
Like
not
Sid
the
passed
character.
that day kind of deal,
Yeah, right.
and
Yeah.
like time and place, but
Yeah, no, put a
don't
special
let it
feature
infect
thing
your
on.
characters.
Yeah, put a special feature thing on the fucking DVD.
Right.
Paid respect to him, yes. In the hotel room, all of that did not make sense. All of that was wrong. Again,
Right.
just writing in general is not his thing,
No.
but I think that the addition of the new character is forced as it was.
Right.
It breathed a little life into the movie. It gave a perspective. I mean, I do feel like that character is just desperately trying to impress Otis the entire time,
Yeah.
but it
Little
gives
brother syndrome.
yeah, it gives some new dynamic to
Yeah.
the movie. So, I mean, that yeah, maybe
Does.
this movie isn't a C plus. Maybe it's a D. The more I talk, yeah, it's a D.
No, I'm hitting the C, the straight C, just because
That
it is a weird, like contradiction to itself. Like me, I'm I won't like it as much. One, because of how perfect the Devil's Rejects ended. Like they went out guns a blazing,
yeah.
and it was so perfect. And then like a couple of years later, you're gonna tell me you're gonna do another one because of audience pressure. It's just like, no, dude, fucking, it doesn't make sense. Like, oh yeah, they lived. You know,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
no, they were supposed to go out like Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
100,000 bullets.
The one scene that I do also love in this movie, which is not like by any means my favorite, I just happen to like it in this movie,
Mhm.
is when Baby is chasing that girl, that naked woman down the street, and just starts like stabbing her in the front yard. And then
Right.
she looks up, and that lady's just like, That shit's hilarious. And then she comes in. That's why I like Baby so much in this one, is because
Right.
number one, she just guts a girl in the broad daylight in the middle of the yard with disregard of everything that's happening around. Then she comes back into the house skipping and like singing to herself
Little party. Little pop. Hey!
like a complete psycho. Like,
Right.
and then she's like, I think we should go because the neighbor lady saw me gut that woman in the front yard. Like, just nonchalant, like, here's some information. Do what you want with it.
Oh, I want this. Some old Brad next door saw me gut that bitch. Think we should think about rolling out of here soon.
Right.
Like that act of Baby plus the, in prison scene plus the hallucinations. I just really feel like they focused on her a lot, and the other characters ended up lacking some because of it.
Yeah. I'll stick to that C though.
I mean,
Of just visuals alone and just
yeah,
like just weirdness,
Yeah.
just weirdness. And I mean, that's basically how all his movies are. Like if you overlook the Sherry Moon and him in general, of just like his direction style in a lot of these movies, you'll see there's a really weird, nice movie underneath it. And
Mhm.
I mean, the problem I think also is that how awesome the Devil's Rejects were.
Yeah.
Like that should have been his like fifth movie.
Mhm.
Get all of these other, his little like pet projects out of the way. And then like Devil's Rejects comes out and it's just like, oh, this man's genius. His second
Yeah,
movie
there's
His-
no way that this movie could be good when you put it up against Devil's Rejects
right.
or House of Thousand Corpses for that matter. Even as schizophrenic as that movie is,
Right.
it still outshines this
Still an
movie
art
by a lot.
project. And, I
Yeah.
almost wish they would have gone back to that style for this.
I think it was a good choice to just let that lie. Just leave that dead. One thing that obviously adds the C to this movie, or adds to getting the C rating for this movie, is the music. God damn, he can pick fucking music for movies.
Yeah.
He kills the soundtrack. When that Inagata Davida starts, I'm just like, it just reminded me how good he is at using classic music.
Right. Because he
And
can film fucking music videos. Because that's basically what that is. When a song is playing, he hears the song while he's filming and editing,
yeah, maybe that's how he does it. I don't know. But yeah, his choice. I mean, through every single one of these movies,
Mm-hmm.
his choices, especially Devil's Rejects, is just it's flawless. Like, I don't have any beef with the soundtracks whatsoever.
No, he knows how to put together a soundtrack.
Yeah. And he knows how to visualize and stylize while that sound is on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the nightlife scene in Mexico is another great thing. Like the knife throwing, the hookers,
Mm-hmm.
all that was great. When you break down, at the end of the day, a Rob Zombie movie is good. Inherently, it is good. The negatives of it are typically always the same.
Right.
Sherry writing dialogue, just making sense of things.
That's how we're probably going to be hitting these, like that are coming up.
I think we beat this dead horse to deather. So
right. I mean, it's not the worst. It's not the worst one.
It's not. I think that it gets a lot more. Well, it's the worst of the series, but
it's the worst of the series.
I think that it gets a lot more hate than it deserves.
Right.
Like, I know you hated it when you first watched it.
Right.
And I know you said that you were in a bad place when you first watched it.
Mm-hmm.
That can't be the case for every single person who watched it. So I don't quite know where all the hate comes from. because I watched this movie twice
Right.
to review it. I watched it the night you said let's watch it, and then I watched it last night.
Right.
And both times, even the second time going in and realizing the timeline thing, I was still able to let it go and just focus on the movie. There's a lot of good things about this movie.
There's a lot of
but
yes.
it's little clips of good here and there. It's like the pizza's really shitty, but this pepperoni is delicious.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like the majority is a pile of shit, but there's some good flavor to it.
Once more, we can keep going on and on. I think it's shit.
It is.
Even
It is shit.
yeah.
That's a good way to end this.